But hopefully people, I'll see y'all in a second as y'all flood onto here and be like, oh my God. Uh, for all those tuning in for the replay, I missed this yesterday. But spend time with my new boo, so it is what it is, y'all. But I don't know. This has been a whole thing for a minute, you know what I mean, with the transphobia that's been going like legit, like wild. Like it's going wild, you know what I mean? Damn, I'm looking fat as fuck right now. All right. It's going wild right now. You know what I mean? Because I mean the laws that are being passed, but also just the like supposed culture war BS that's been happening has been having transphobia just buck off, right? And that that's just getting annoying. And I want to like clear up some rumors or misinformation that's been put out by folks that are leaning more right or just transphobic, because not all of them are right wingers. You know what I mean? Some are supposedly liberals and shit. Well, let me see. Comments. Ooh, let me see them. Oh, okay, yeah. Well, if you're the first time you've been here for, this is not the full shebang. You know what I mean? A lot of times we have the do it to StreamYard, but right now I'm just doing it from my phone. But one of the things that I noticed that a lot of stuff propaganda's been going along is that all these parents are like abusing their children, quote unquote, for letting them get on puberty blockers or transition pretty much, start the process. And one of the things that people have like been pushing forward that is just out and out false, you know what I mean, is that it's irreversible. And I wanted to address that a little bit, because if you know anything about shit, you would know that when people are minors, what they do is they give them puberty blockers. Now, puberty blockers, what they do is stop puberty from onsetting, right? And so everybody's spreading this misnomer that it like, oh, they're doing permanent change and stuff. They might feel different about adult. Well, first off, we'll get to the point about how the actual numbers about people regretting their transition being extremely low and not being real. We'll get to that point too. You know what I mean? Because that's also not a factor. But the thing is, I want to be very clear about is that puberty blockers specifically are absolutely reversible, because all puberty blockers do is block puberty. So then if you are, say, born male but you're a trans woman, you don't go through puberty and have testosterone damage your body. You know what I mean? That is what really it is. You know what I mean? And it was kind of wild to have some of these conversations, see where they're coming from, because a lot of these people are like liberals too. You know what I mean? And so they're just trying to be like, no, it's not. I'm not transphobic, but it's like, no, you are. You're literally spreading misinformation because you don't take the time out to understand what is actually happening, right? So that's a big thing that people think people don't really get. And issue that people get like, oh, what's the harm in denying people gender affirmative medical care? They say they don't understand. I was like, well, have you checked out the self-deletion rates of trans folks? And that's because the society treats them like shit, and also denies them even their basic medical care. You feel me? So that's the whole thing. For some weird reason, they think they aren't reversible. Yeah, exactly. I mean, they just probably like Joe Rogan or somebody. You know what I mean? I don't hate Joe Rogan like everybody else does, but he be saying some stupid shit sometimes. And so they be talking about how it's like literally, they be trying to say it's child abuse and shit, but in reality, it's the opposite, right? People denying youth the ability to like forego puberty until they're old enough to like make decisions if they want to transition or not is abuse, right? Because you see the psychological damage it has on trans folks is it's bad. It's not okay. Like, you know what I mean? And like I said, the self-deletion rates are horrible, especially for youth. Like, understand that. And I don't know, it just gets really frustrating because it's all just random propaganda BS that people are really buying into that isn't in any way based in facts. You know what I mean? Well, basically, we're talking about transphobia, talking about So what someone asked what they missed was like basically talking about the misnomer people saying that puberty blockers are irreversible and stuff like that, which is just not true, and trying to say it's abuse to have their children on puberty blockers or whatever. And I'm like, it's literally the opposite of that. Like if you're denying them that's kind of abuse. Like it's emotional abuse, not like physical abuse, but it's emotional abuse. You know what I mean? Oh man, I'm saying all the words that are gonna get this shit demonetized, but whatever. And it's really frustrating. And to be clear, I'm not trying to make money off people's struggle. It's just if you demonetized, does it promote this conversation, which I feel like is a really important one with the topic. And it's that, and that's just this is the beginning, right? Because then we get into the whole sports thing, and I guess it's up, been back and forth if it's up in the air or not. But one thing I'll say about the sports thing is, estrogen changes your body. It changes your body. You know what I mean? And so when people try to talk it's an unfair advantage, I mean, I don't know if that's true. Because I know that as someone who was working out really hard for a while, the testosterone is crucial in deciding how your muscle development is. So if you're on estrogen, I don't really think you're going to have the same advantage, but maybe I'm wrong with that. We'll see. I guess the science might still be out, but by what I've seen, it's said the opposite, that people don't have those advantages, right? And it's like, why do people insist on being transphobic? It kind of just really, because really what it comes down to is you want to deny someone's whole existence. You feel me? You want to deny their right to be who they are. You want to make them fit into a box that they don't fit into because it doesn't work for you as a cis person, right? And it's just kind of wild to me that that's how it functions. And the thing is, like, it's really easy to be like scapegoat all the right wingers and shit, but it isn't just right wingers, man. Or I mean, I guess liberals are right wingers, but you know what I mean. Like, it's not just the American right. There's the American left too, which is also right wing, that promotes that shit. And it makes me really discouraged because, like, the youth specifically need the support, especially if they're trans, by people that not only are queer, but also by the cis community. But the cis community is epically failing these youth. You know what I mean? And that's fucking wild. Now, let's be real, the cis community fails most youth, but especially trans youth. Why do we, Leo Long says, why do we have gender sports in the first place? Like, why not just non-gender skills-based leagues? I don't know, seems weird. Also feeling safe right now, love this community. So I think, one thing I will say, I think one of the gender thing is like that's the thing that boys and men have more testosterone, which is an argument, but like at the same time, if we see like when we go to pro sports, they do testosterone testing. They've actually kicked black cis women out because having too high of testosterone. You know what I mean? So like that, which is fucked up and racist, but like, based off our present situation. But yeah, they can do it based off of literally your chemical balance if they really wanted to. Which would make more sense a little bit, but hey, Duzmoth, most of them are right wingers, but not all. Usually religious. I wish they were mostly right wingers. I don't see that though. I see a lot of liberals really pushing the transphobic lines. They'll just phrase it as like, no, but I got trans friends. I've literally been told. Okay, so I'll be very clear about something. There's this thing that goes around that says, hey, black men are the white people, black people. I do not subscribe to that at all. I think that's a cap. But what I will say is the motherfucker who was trying to say they had trans friends was black, and that just made me disappointed. I was like, nigga, you really just trans friend, you pretty much black friended me, except you trans friended me, you know what I mean? Like, bro, my trans friend disagrees with you type shit. I'm like, nah, bro. Like, and also, Blair White could be your trans friend for all I know, so that doesn't really mean much. Yeah, I mean, and then there's also, I've seen this trend of like, I guess they pygmies or whatever, but there's like these trans folks being transphobic, like trying to fall in the like lineage of Blair White, which also been blowing my mind. I've noticed that on TikTok a little bit. I don't be on TikTok a lot, but that should be kind of wild. Oh man, it's not up in the messages. On my way to court to shut these fools down. Yeah, shut them down. Judge, I see you. So, yeah, that TV damage is up in the motherfucking house, by the way. What's up? Yeah, so, I mean, and then we see, like, the laws being passed bit by bit to try to further marginalize trans folks, and we see that in the general community, general society, perpetuating that. You know what I mean? And I think that's a big problem. It's a big fucking problem. Oh yeah, this is kind of like a smoke session, but without the beef. But well, I guess my beef is transphobia, so it is a smoke session, live smoke session. But that's just starting, right? That's just gotten surfaced. I'm talking about trying to deny people like their gender reassignment treatment. You know what I mean? Deny youth that. They want to deny adults that too. Let's not play. They try to play like it's not like that, and I think that's more the conservatives are trying to deny adults the ability to transition. But I think one of the things that's really important to see the impact it has on the society, the impact it has on communities. You know what I mean? And like, what is the interest of, as a cis person, trying to be in the way of people trying to live their life, right? Trying to transition. Like, and the thing is, the way people try to minimize the impacts of it is also really frustrating, right? Because apparently self-deletion doesn't count as real damage. You know what I mean? Mental health damage doesn't count as real damage, if at least it's applying to trans folks. And I don't understand. Can anybody help me? What is the interest of trying to do that? Because I don't understand it. You know what I mean? Unless the motherfuckers are in themselves closeted and they feel some type of shame or upsetness for not being able to either engage with trans folks or be trans themselves. I don't understand it. Like, when the people who are supposedly just cis straight people, like, wouldn't you just not have an interest, a dog in the fight? You know what I mean? That at the very, you know what I mean? Not saying you should just be whatever about it, but I think straight people who don't really have much love for trans people that are really like full straight generally just be whatever about it. You know what I mean? And then I'm not saying that's cool. We should care and be empathetic towards our people, but like, I don't understand how all these cis folks literally get so invested if they don't like or care about people, right? Because when I don't like or care about people, I don't get invested, right? And if you, I don't know. And there's like this piece that's like a war on trans folks for sure. Okay, let me just read some of these comments. I'm just ranting right now, but perceiving a perceived norm, it's an ego thing. Okay? Maybe I don't understand because I never fitted, so I never fitted a norm. Skylar is based as fuck. I have learned a lot from her. Yeah, Skylar's dope as fuck. I vote with Skylar. From back in the day, they were one of the first people to actually be fucking with me outside of EJ. Okay, Lee Long says they want to feel like a default normal human, so threats to that perception threaten their ego. I mean, so you're saying that they don't feel normal, so they gotta make other people feel abnormal? Okay, wait. TV Damage says, not all indigenous cultures though, but the church has made. Okay, I don't understand what you're saying there. The man missed another. Oh, okay. I'm on the court. Oh, no. Yeah, I missed that context of it. Maybe. Okay. Yeah, I missed the context of what you're saying. TV Damage. It's like they. Okay. Duzmoth says it's like they say when you're at. Wait. Oh, when you're accustomed to privilege, equality is seen as oppression. But here's the thing: is how? Like, they're not losing anything. Like, with white people, they're gonna lose some semblance of that power and supremacy. But what the fuck are you gaining from transphobia? I don't understand. Like, you know what I mean? I don't get it. Lee Long, you got the, basically. Okay, yeah, I don't get it though. The thing is, like, okay, you're trying to set a norm because you want to feel normal because you feel like you're being oppressed. But why would liberation of trans folks oppress you? Like, I get why the idea of liberation of black folks seem oppressive to white people, right? I get 100% why that is, but I don't understand liberation of trans folks, why it seems oppressive to cis people, because, like, what are you benefiting from their oppression? You know what I mean? Besides just being a fucking dick, you know what I mean? It's a it's a philosophical loss, but it's Yeah, I mean, I guess you're right, but people are ridiculous because it's just an idea. It's the concept. Those are less important than the material outcomes of people. Zara says, part of it could also be about sexuality. There are people that wholly attach their masculinity or femininity to who they're attracted to. Yeah, I mean, but that's the thing. It's like I feel like that's where it's like it's kind of closeted shit, right? They really are attracted to trans women and they don't want to be, but you're just closeted about it, and instead of coming to terms with how you actually feel. You know what I mean? Um, Sorry, you were on something there. Yeah, I agree. They're on something for sure. But that's what I mean by the closeted thing. You know what I mean? Because people are like not what a cis heteronormative person would consider straight, and so then they feel insecure about it because they're attracted to trans women or they're attracted to trans men, or so they're like, wow. And I agree with you on that, but you know, I mean, but that's what I'm saying. Like, besides that, what else reasons do they have? And I guess that's further than the hegemony, right? Because it challenges heteronormativity and cis normativity. Yeah, but what's the benefit of those things, right? So the benefit of heteronormativity and cis normativity, right, is like that we go to war and die for some rich assholes, you know what I mean? That we are seen as like we have that manipulated against us. So that's why I don't understand that. It should be weird. In a fascist society, folks need to look down on someone for stuff to work. That's very true. From private. So cis white het people are always looking for people to reassure them of their superior status. Okay, that's a fair argument. I hear that. Oh, that too, maybe it's all emasculating for them. See, I don't like sleeping on the actual term of emasculating, because emasculating, white supremacists definitely did emasculation tactics to like black folks. So I don't want to like sleep on that. That shit can be real, but fuck, bro. If that's emasculating to you, you're some weirdo. You know, it's not like, you know what, white people didn't emasculate black people. They fucking whipped them and killed their children in front of them. That's what fucking happened. So they like they would SA them, you know what I mean? So anyways, hence picking fights instead of disengaging. Alright. Well, my dad said I look like a better for wearing a ponytail, and wow. Okay, well, I feel it. I had male people in my life that were like that. You know what I mean? Specifically, my grandpa actually. He was like, real men don't cook, because I was cooking for my grandma after she had a brain tumor. Like, real men don't cook. I was like, dog, any adult cooks. Anyways. But I feel it, and I that old masculinity weird shit, I completely understand having adults that older people that kind of perpetuate that. But come on, that's just played. That's just played as fuck. And again, it all falls back to all these stupid opinions being a justification to oppress trans folk is wild. To be able to deny them medical care is wild. You know what I mean? It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But yeah, and they just like woefully be ignorant. But like I said earlier about the fucking puberty blockers trying to say it was irreversible. That's fucking wild. No, it isn't. 2 seconds of research. 2 seconds of research will prove you fucking wrong. It's not hard, you know? And I think then we're seeing like them trying to push laws, you know what I mean, to make shit way worse for trans folks like right now. And then these people, including these YouTubers and TikTok weirdos that are transphobic, are making it a more dangerous environment. Now, you know me, I'm not really big on the legislation really mattering too much. However, culture does. And the actions of individual people making it where these politicians, these rich people, these people who have just no conscience can then oppress people is a problem. And I don't understand how us, specifically as black folks, speaking for me and for my community, like how we can not see how we perpetuate it. Now, there's another part I really wanted to dive into, right? So people rest their idea of heteronormativity on the idea that this is how things have always been. And that is cap, right? Because what we see is that's a very Eurocentric perception of reality, right? In Europe, they were tended to be transphobic. They tended to do all those things, though, there's still trans folks in Europe, right? But when you go to other cultures, outside of European Western cultures, you see there is trans identities that existed way before the heteronormativity became what it is, right? Africa had trans gods, had gender fluid gods. Like, bro, like the way, and like also the thing as a black person, I'm like, yo, we're thinking Eurocentric when we mimic that shit, right? Because we're not looking at our culture for real. You're like, oh, Africa was like, no, it was. There was hella different genders in Africa, not just two. Like, we can get to multiple, we can get to like 7, 8 genders in a fucking area, you know what I mean? That is recognized by the people. And people didn't, so when people try to act like this is, oh no, you're denying reality, it's like, no, man, our peoples have acknowledged that there are multiple genders for a long time, and only this like bastardized version of Christianity that Europeans practice is really what threw it towards that direction. And it's just kind of wild. It's kind of wild. And this is the thing that's frustrating because people don't understand because they don't research. You know what I mean? Especially the black person. I'm like, yo, we have hella African tribes that literally had gods that were trans, gods that were gender fluid, that their gender would switch and alternate. But hey, fuck that, right? If the white Western powers don't agree with it, then of course we can't actually keep our mind open. We got to close it off like them. Lee Long says, where tradition means white people roughly 100 years ago. That ain't tradition, JP. You raw egg. Hey, but so if he falls, he's gonna spill yolk everywhere. JP's Jordan Peterson's gonna be spilling yolk every day if he falls off the wall. Humpty Dumpty. Same for indigenous folks. Yeah, exactly. If indigenous folks of Turtle Island have this thing called two-spirited people, and that's another example of where what people would call nowadays transness, but I don't want to call transness because it's within its context. But people would generally see it as transness, right? So like, two-spirited people exist and been existing. Not just in indigenous cultures, but in African cultures. Shit, I'm not sure about outside of there, but I know I think also some Hindu cultures have it too. So I'm like, I don't know like all the details. I won't speak too far out of what I know, but the thing is the idea that the gender binary is a given and that something that's always been practiced and respected is just cap, man. It's just cap. So much cap. The blood's almost got, so I'm gonna be here a little bit longer, unless the phone dies first. We'll see. Oh, the phone might die first, y'all. I have 7% left. But I think it's really important that we question these things. I think it's really important that we point out to people, like things like Eurocentric gender perception isn't the gender perception, isn't the understanding, isn't the truth. Like, because they speak not even just of perception or understanding, but the truth, and it's just not the truth. It's just not. So, I mean, I wanted to drop this yesterday. It's a little conversation, and it's like a little rant while I'm smoking, but I was occupied. I was very, very occupied in a very good way. So I didn't drop it till today, but I mean, I feel like it's an important conversation. It means a lot to me. And yes, I'm gender fluid, but I know I don't experience life the way other trans folks that are in transition do. You know what I mean? Still every day people treat me as a cis black male. You know what I mean? That's how everybody's gonna always probably treat me because, how I present is how I'm gonna present. At least in the near future. Maybe I'll feel differently later, but right now it's how I feel. But I think I don't know. I think it's just been disheartening to me because I think it's where I've seen some people I know fall super short and been very, very, very. I've been very upset about it. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm MB. A similar issue. Big reason I like the channel. Thank you. Well, I hope it's not the only reason, but I'm glad it's one of the reasons. You know what I mean? Yeah, and it's wild because people still see me as just like a cis straight person, which is not true. It just isn't, right? And then, but I mean, I hope that's part of my appeal, though, too, at the same time. And hopefully, it allows me to reach people that would not listen to somebody who isn't perceived that way. Lee Long. For instance, my AP Psych Tech teacher said that heteronormativity is the dominant expression, but he said he just assumed it was true because how could society be off base? He proclaimed he was liberal. How could society be off base? I don't know. Ask a Nazi or someone who survived them, like how they could be off base. You know what I mean? Like, because I think a Nazi would agree with you. That's the problem. That's the problem. Far from the only reason, but it definitely adds a new dimension to your work that I find lacking in other creators. Well, I appreciate it. I mean, it's a lot. I be trying to work through it honestly too, as far as my own gender thing, because I'm like, I be struggling because of how people perceive me to like be balanced within myself sometimes, right? Because everybody's like, oh, you're big black. Some people see me as hyper masculine male, and I'm super not hyper masculine, but some people think I am, so it's like whatever. Right, whatever. If you think I'm super masculine, run with that, I guess. And I was like, I think it's just my voice. My voice is deep, apparently. I didn't used to think it was, but apparently it is. Darth Moth, maybe I'm wrong, but that patriarchal cis normative hetero family structure is easier to control than diverse populations, which literally with a litany of genders and sensualities. Okay, that's most likely true. Hopeless Peaches says this showed up on my up next. Anyone who is fighting against transphobia is awesome in my book. Keep it up. Well, thank you. I appreciate the love. I mean, I'm up just against oppression in general. I think I'm at the end of this though, y'all. My phone just went dark because it went down to 5%. So I got it in the live right now. But let's keep having this conversation in the comment section if y'all down. And I will be there with y'all after I get this on the charger. I can actually charge it, but I can't charge it and live stream at the same time, unfortunately, because I won't be able to sit up nowhere. But I'll be in the comments with y'all if y'all fuck with me. So I was gonna try to get the blunt in, but all right, get y'all. I think. Yep. Peace.